Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to What's the 504. I am your host, Christy B. If you are new to my channel, welcome to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've posted anything, but I'm looking to get back in full effect, you guys. So before I get started on this video, I want to congratulate all of the nominees for the Grammys. I'm very disappointed that Nicki Minaj has not been nominated. I just don't understand what point they're trying to prove by not nominating her, not giving her an opportunity to win the Grammy. She's been in the game far too long, and it's just so insulting for them to keep giving Grammys to all these newcomers. Not saying that they don't deserve a Grammy, but it's just insulting knowing how much Nicki contributed to the rap game for female rappers, knowing the level of talent that she has. I mean, she deserves the opportunity to win her Grammy. I mean, how many years? It's been what, 15 years in the game? There's no way in hell that people that just came along a year ago should be getting Grammys and Nicki Minaj still has not gotten a Grammy. You know, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But anyway, everybody has their own journey. Again, I'm not saying no one else deserves their Grammy to be nominated, but it's just completely wrong and unjust to have Nicki Minaj not be nominated, not have her opportunity to win a Grammy when she's contributed way too much to the culture. Way too much, you know? But I've said my piece on that. I want to move on to the story about Shanquella Robinson. So, unfortunately, this beautiful young lady lost her life in Mexico, in Cabo, Mexico. She went on what she thought would be a great vacation with a group of friends. And unfortunately, it appears that those friends betrayed her, beat her up, and pretty much beat her to death. And then they left her. They left her. You know, they arrived. And clearly, the way things have transpired, it clearly, to me, in my personal opinion, was a setup. This girl was set up. They decided they wanted to get her over in this foreign country in Mexico where they know that they probably would never investigate, you know, the death of, how she died. They knew what they were doing when they did this because they couldn't even wait. They'd only been there 24 hours. Sorry about that. They'd only been there 24 hours and this girl was already dead. And then they all hopped on a plane and left and came back to the United States and left her body there in the hotel room. And just today, a video surfaced, which appears to be her in the video. Unfortunately, she is not dressed. And there's another girl that is in the video. And you can see that the girl obviously is just has some hate in her. And she reaches out and just like starts punching her. Just starts punching Shanquella. And Shanquella's not even fighting back. Like, and in the video, she swings her to the floor. And she's like punching her all in the head. And then this guy, who was supposedly her best friend for 5 years, you hear him saying, "Oh, you're not even at least gonna fight back. You're not gonna fight back." And she says no. And then the video cuts. So clearly, this was a setup. They knew what they were going to do to this girl when they got her there. Clearly, they were jealous of this girl, and she's a beautiful girl. She had a successful braiding business for kids, and she also had a clothing boutique. And then she liked to travel, and clearly these people did not like her. Clearly, they were haters. Clearly, they were just in her presence just to keep up with what's going on in her life, and the whole time they were jealous and envious and hateful. And unfortunately, I refuse to believe that this is the first sign that was given to her that they were this way. Usually, there are small signs along the way. So I'm more inclined to believe that they probably would say little slick stuff to her, throughout however long. It's not clear on how long she's been friends with the other girls. It's only clear that she was friends with this guy for 5 years. And even with the guy, I'm willing to bet that along the years that they have been friends, that he has probably said some slick stuff to her. Now, he might have said some things in a joking way, so may pass it off as a joke. But it's very hard to believe that she was friends with him all this time and he never gave any type of hint that there was some jealousy there. There had to have been some kind of hint. Unfortunately, when you're a good person, you're good-hearted, a lot of times you overlook those things. You don't You think, oh, they're just in a mood today. It's not a big deal, right? But unfortunately, we have to pay attention to those types of things, because if we find ourselves in a vulnerable situation, we don't know what that person's going to do. And certainly, the way things ended for this girl is very, very tragic. And I feel so, so horrible for her parents, right? So let's go ahead and read the article. Let me go ahead and click over so we can get to an article here. Okay. So, and this is credit of everythinglubbock.com. This is their article. It says, mystery in Mexico, U.S. woman found dead. Autopsy revealed broken neck, family says. Now, mind you, the friends all told different stories. They told the parents different stories. And they tried to say that she died from alcohol poisoning, which is a bunch of nonsense. So here it is. It's become a mystery in Mexico as a Charlotte family tries to find answers to how a 25-year-old wound up dead. Conflicting reports have them wondering what really happened at a villa in Cabo. It was supposed to be a fun long weekend for Shanquella Robinson and her group of friends who went to Cabo to celebrate one of their birthdays. She told me they had a chef, they were getting ready to eat, they were eating tacos or a salad or something, and I said, okay, I love you, have a good night, and I will talk to you tomorrow. I never talked to my child again. She never made it back home, her mom, Salamandra Robinson, told Queen City News. Salamandra said she was dead within 24 hours of her daughter's arrival. Figuring out how or why has only added to the family's nightmare. It started with a frantic call from Robinson's friends. They said she wasn't feeling well. She had alcohol poisoning. They couldn't get a pulse. Each one of the people that was there with her was telling different stories. When the family made calls to the FBI and Mexican authorities, they learned of another potential cause of death. When the autopsy came back, they said it didn't have anything to do with alcohol. They said that she had a broken neck and her spine in the back was cracked. She had been beaten. I don't know if we're going to mention it in here, but it also was reported that her face was swollen, her lip was split. And yeah, so it says Salamandra says the entire group returned from Mexico, leaving her daughter's body there. Nearly 2 weeks and $6,000 later, her body is back home, but answers have been hard to come by. I know that's not going to bring my child back, but I want something done about it. Queen City News spoke with officials at U.S. State Department in Mexico. They refute the claim Robinson was murdered, saying the police's initial indication is that there was no clear evidence of foul play. Yeah, right. Okay. Sounds like to me that y'all are just trying to make sure that you don't have tourists canceling their vacations there because of what happened to this girl. Not to mention the other 3 people that were found dead a few weeks ago as well. That's a whole nother story. Here in Charlotte, her family refuses to believe their daughter's death was an accident, and they vow to find the truth about what happened that night in Cabo. She had a heart of gold. She loved everybody, and pretty much everybody loved her. Pretty much, right? Yeah. Obviously not the people that was with her, though. An official with the State Department told Queen City News they are helping the family obtain reports from authorities in Mexico. They recommend the family hire a private investigator and attorney if they question the circumstances. Well, of course, yeah, and you got to come up with money for all that stuff, right? I mean, this is a complete shock to them. Right? She thought her daughter was going to go have a good time and then come back home. Now she's having to pay for her daughter to be flown back, to the United States. She's having to come up with money for a private investigator and all these things. I mean, no parent, that's the parent's worst nightmare. That is a parent's worst nightmare. And it's so sad. And it's just so pointless, that people could be so hateful and just do something like that. It's just so hateful. It's so hateful. Here's a related story. 3 Americans found dead in Mexico City Airbnb. Family seeks answers. So that was an additional story. This is 3. This was 3 black people, a black woman and 2 black guys. They were found dead in their hotel rooms, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just a lot of things out there is just so questionable. But to me, this had to have been a planned thing. If you watch the video, it's like this girl was nude, and that video is circulating all over the internet. And as a mom, I mean, that is just so heartbreaking and devastating. Now everybody's seeing her daughter on the internet, nude, getting beaten by this horrible person. Like, who does it? The girl didn't even fight back. The girl was not a fighter, and to me, they knew that. They knew that she was nice, that she had a good heart, and that she was somebody that probably wouldn't fight back, right? And they set her, but to me, it's it's just, it doesn't prove anything, because you already knew she wasn't the type that was going to fight back. You knew that she had a good heart. She didn't like conflict, because if you look at how she responded, that girl was hitting her all in the head, and she refused to hit her back. And even the boy, who was supposed to be her best friend, said, "Oh, you're not going to fight back? You're not at least going to fight back?" And she said no. So they knew that. So you did this to somebody that was weak. Why? You did this to somebody that was soft-hearted. I don't want to say weak. You did this to somebody that was soft-hearted, and you knew that they weren't violent. You knew that they didn't like to fight, clearly. Because if she did, well, I'm not saying you don't even have to like to fight to defend yourself, but I'm just saying they knew that this girl was soft and that she was good-hearted. You know, so to me, that's not even an equal balance. Like, if you're going to fight somebody that's actually going to give you something to go against. Fight somebody that's going to fight back with you. Like, how cowardly is that to do that? Somebody that's, how is that even, I mean, I just don't understand. What do you get out of that? This is somebody that didn't even want to fight you. Didn't even fight back. And yet you still kept punching this girl and doing stuff to her. Like, for what? For what? Now, we don't know all the inside ins and outs of what the relationship was like with these girls, right? We don't really know, right? But based off of how the other girl was acting, based off of how, you know, if that video is legit and if that video really is her, you can clearly see she didn't want to fight anybody. This girl was not even fighting back, you know? And I guess probably the pure betrayal and the shock probably, you know, that she was feeling in that moment, to know that this person that was supposed to be her friend was sitting up there recording it, wasn't stopping anything. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I, as a bystander, cannot sit by and just watch this girl get beat like that. The girl is not even fighting back. Like, who does that? And for what? And for what? And then to leave immediately after that happened. So clearly this was some kind of setup. Who does that? And then I tried to give the benefit of the doubt, right? If this video is legit, if that's really her and that's really them in that hotel room, you know, prior to this video coming out, I said, well, dang, maybe possibly there's a small chance that was some third party involved that they didn't want to say. Maybe they were scared. Maybe something happened and this third party did something to this girl, and they were afraid that if they spoke out, then maybe something would happen to them, and maybe that's why they were giving different accounts of what happened. But if this video is legit, that's going around online, then that completely debunks that. And that completely shows that this was clearly a premeditated situation. There's no way that y'all was super cool and great friends, and then you just showed up out of town. You arrived, you know, y'all weren't even there 24 hours, and next thing you know, the girl is dead, and y'all hopping back on a plane to come back home. That doesn't make any sense. There's no way that this was like a random, you know, moment where, okay, somebody just exchanged words. And no, that girl in that, if you look in that video, you can see that girl just had it in for her for whatever reason. Again, we don't know the details of what type of relationship they had, but again, clearly this girl was not a fighter. She was not a fighter, so why would you even do something like this to her? You know, and clearly they went to Mexico because they felt like it would be a place where they could do this, get away with it, because, you know, the investigative stuff isn't that great over here. I mean, how many suspicious deaths do we have happening in Mexico and happening in the Dominican? I think the Dominican Republic is another one where they have like suspicious deaths going on. People go to their room and then the next day they're just found dead in the bed, and there's no real explanation as to what the hell happened. I think a while back it was a couple, and they tried to say it was like natural causes or some shit, or it was like unrelated to and neither death was related to the other, but yet they were there as a couple and they were both found dead in their room in the bed. Like, that makes no sense, right? So a lot of times these places will try to cover up what's really going on, because they need the tourism. They need them, they make their money off of tourists. So they don't want that information coming out. So they kind of just try to, you know, go under the radar, and it's just really sad. And I really hope the family can get some justice and some level of peace at some point. It's just really sad. It's really sad, guys. So rest in peace, Shanquella. And my prayers and condolences and thoughts go out to the family. And again, I hope that the family can get justice. I hope that everybody involved is brought to justice, and the family can have some kind of peace or closure. All right, see y'all in the next video, guys.